cubes. Speaking of ice cubes, I think I've mentioned the show before that one time that you put a dinosaur in my ice cube in my freezer.
Yep. Is it still there?
So as we're recording this, everybody, Tim and I have both returned from another continent. The dinosaur, somebody who's staying at my house, I don't know, because there was a litany of people who stayed here.
Why?
Somebody took that dinosaur out. I was out of town for over 2 weeks, Tim.
All right.
And because as he brandishes his left hand, wiggling his finger, I'm all married now.
Okay, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Yeah, you start your shit. What is it? Episode 119.
Well, I thought you had a segue.
I know you keep running over my segue. My segue's dead.
No, I'm helping you along.
No, the dinosaur got taken out. That's the thing. Somebody took the dinosaur out of my freezer. I'm like, why did they do that? Who knows? No, it's there. I know it's out because it's just sitting there on my counter staring at me. It's cold, dead eyes.
Oh, somebody melted it. Ooh.
Yep. Mm-hmm. They thought it out, just like in the previous Seddy Bimco episode, Dinosaurus.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah.
All these coincidences.
Oh, a lot of coincidences.
But it's episode 118 of Seddy Bimco, Part 2, The Revenge.
I was so close.
I beat you. We continue our tour, the 50 Nifty United States. And this week...
Back on tour after... Well, actually, I don't know what the order these are coming in. Yeah.
Well, yeah. George stole New York City from me. It's supposed to be mine.
That's right, I did.
And we're going to watch C.H.U.D from 1984.
Yeah.
And my age-old question, so we can get to everything. I'm afraid. Yep. I'm afraid.
You should be afraid. Yep.
You know that Robin Hood, George?
That Robin Hood? Yeah, I know that Robin
Sherwood
Hood.
Forest.
That guy. Yeah, he's always stealing from the rich, giving it to the poor. I know that guy.
Did the poor ever get revenge on him when he eventually stopped stealing from the rich and just started entering archery competitions? Man.
Oh, that joke sucks. That really sucks.
Texar McGillicuddy, he's back.
Texar McGillicuddy needs to die.
We thought he was dying.
I wish he was.
He wasn't moving.
That joke is so...
He wasn't moving for 5 days. And we thought he's dead. He's like, no, I'm just napping.
Next time that happens, just set him on fire, because that joke sucks.
It's Seddy Bimco Part 2, The Revenge. The show where we create revenge sequels that nobody wanted.
It's Seddy Bimco, Part 2, The Revenge. Every week, I steal a number from a jar. Because we're
from a poor person's jar.
Yes, we're going to watch
But now you just enter archery contests because your jokes suck.
And I steal a number from a jar. And I give it to George.
Yep. What's the number this week?
From this movie, we're going to ask who from this movie would be most likely to number 8. Who from this movie would be most likely to bring up the Sasquatch during a tour of Canada? Classic Sasquatch.
Classic. Question, Tim.
Yeah.
Is this Sasquatch the mythical ape cryptid monster, or is this Sasquatch the member of Marvel Comics Alpha Flight?
No, never Alpha Flight. No.
Okay, just wondering.
we're gonna enter Morlock territory. I know. Anyway,
there was an episode recently with a lot of Morlocks in it.
It was,
and there'll probably be some Morlock mentions today. Marvel Comics, it's just a thing. So we got a lot to talk about up front, Tim.
We do. Yep. You've kidded about getting married, but
I've mentioned it before. But this is these are airing all over the place. I don't know the order of stuff's happening. But this is the first episode that Tim and I are recording since I've been officially married.
Yep.
So I know I talked about before, like pterodactyl attacks and stuff. The actual event in Rome went off with more or less without a hitch, although it was the hottest day of the year in Rome. It was. You know how hot it was that day?
100.
No, it was 104 fucking degrees.
I didn't quite notice. It's a dry. Yeah. I guess it's a dry heat, George.
Mediterranean heat is better. But it's beautiful. I'm now a married man. I was sweaty.
We went to Rome. It was like a very special episode of Seddy Bimco where we traveled to Rome.
It was like a special episode. Yeah. We had, and various Seddy Bimco supporting characters were there. Miss Lee was there. Mm-hmm. Foofy was there.
And Chris who never listens to the show.
Yep.
He was there.
It was pretty amazing. Yeah, no, who wasn't there? Cablasto, because that guy, a lot of people, he's not allowed to leave the United States. There's restraining orders against him.
Or enter Rome.
Yeah, he's just not allowed anywhere. He has to stay in whatever upstate town he lives in with like that record shop that gets mentioned. Hi, Cablasto.
Needle drop.
But it was nice.
Needle dropped in like being advertised on the show. So now we advertised CD's records.
CD's records or
CD's records
coconuts.
and buy them.
Remember coconuts?
Yeah.
I remember. Speaking of Cablasto, Tim,
Italy. Are we off Italy? I'm sorry.
No, we will come back to Italy because there's something I want to talk about really briefly.
Me too.
As of the day we're recording, the most recent episode that you recorded with Cablasto just aired, Friday the 13th, part
2.
6?
No, 2.
No, it was part 2. You're right.
He didn't
the
have a
reason
mask.
I said part 6 is because, I saved myself the trouble of writing a letter. I'm basically writing a letter right now.
Okay.
There was a bit where you were talking with Cablasto. The two of you noticed that the character of Jason's mother is credited as Mrs. Voorhees.
Mm-hmm.
Indicating a Mr. Voorhees, and you both like kind of mused aloud about whether or not he has a father, and you came with an inconclusive, but I am going to share you a story of my childhood.
Uh-oh.
A story of young pre-married in Rome, George. You ready for this?
Yeah. I don't know what's happening.
Jason, Friday the 13th, part 6, Jason Lives, comes out, smashes records, big hit. It's the most well-reviewed Friday the 13th movie since the first. It's the only one to have a positive rating besides that,
Whoa.
right?
It's like the Revolver of Jason movies.
Is that a Beatles reference?
That's a good album. Yeah.
Is that the second best revolved? Wait, what's the first? Sgt. Pepper?
No. People like Revolver better. Sgt. Pepper is a little bit pretentious, people feel.
What's the best Beatles
Mr.
album?
Lennon.
Tim?
The best Beatles?
What's
I
the
think
best
Revolver.
Beatles album? Yeah.
I think
it's Magical Mystery Tour. What do you think of that?
No.
You want to fight me? You want to come at me with your hands a swinging? You know why? Because it's got I'm the Walrus. No other reason.
Oh, you like
I'm
that,
the Walrus.
yes.
I love that song.
Uh-huh. I like playing it.
Yep. That drone, that was because he was doing acid and heard a siren.
Oh, yeah. I think I knew that.
And
the
he
siren was rushing because his aunt had been run over by a trolley car. No, sorry to bring the story down, but
that's a real bummer. Yeah. Especially because didn't his mom actually die from being hit by a trolley car, you monster?
I think a car.
Isn't that how Julia literally died, I think?
A car. Come on.
I think it was a trolley car. Anyway, what the hell was I talking about before you derails your Beatles talk? Oh,
Jason.
So the movie comes out. 12-year-old George is a big fan. Such a big fan. I go to my local public library, and I also read the novelization.
Whoa, what?
Yeah, the novelization of Jason Lives. Get this shit, though, Tim.
Who wrote it?
There was actually a scene that got cut from the movie that reveals Mr. Voorhees.
Oh.
So after the movie ends with Tommy Jarvis...
He's Googling
I'm going to read
novel.
you a little bit from the novelization because I fucking found it.
Oh, my God.
After Jason is dispatched by, up until now, series lead Tommy Jarvis, never to be seen again, we are treated to this scene. Oops. Hold on.
Jason says, oops, I stabbed her. Oops.
Okay.
Oops, I stabbed her again.
This is my dramatic reading, right?
Okay.
Martin crouched down over one of the graves in the Eternal Rest Cemetery, pulling up weeds. It was a warm day, and the old caretaker worked slowly. No need to work up a sweat, he told himself, because these folks ain't in no hurry, and they sure ain't going anywheres. He chuckled at his own witticism. Yep, it sure is a good day, he thought. So, blah, 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 blah. Let's go. He's drinking wild turkey.
That's so dramatic.
Yeah. A shadow fell across him, and the old alcoholic looked up, startled. A look of tense, frightened recognition passed over Martin's face, and he quickly dropped the weeds and struggled to his feet, dusting his palms off against one another. When he spoke, his voice was overly friendly, obsequious, his manner that of a fawning, servile dog. You frightened me, he said, slouching, almost genuflecting. I was just, cleaning up the place, The tall man in the dark suit stood motionless, silently staring down at the old caretaker. Martin squirmed beneath the directness of the gaze. Nice to see you again, Mr. Voorhees, he said, bobbing his head, avoiding the man's eyes. Haven't seen you in Forest Green in quite some time.
Or Blood Lake.
The thin, pale face was framed by long, dark red hair, heavily streaked with gray.
Red hair.
It showed not a flicker of expression. The features were fine and chiseled, deeply etched. The mouth was thin and cruel, but the eyes... Don't look at them eyes, thought Martin.
They're doll's
no
eyes.
matter what. Wait.
No, they're doll's eyes.
Those eyes were like snake's eyes, cold, feral, ancient. They made Martin think of mausoleums and crypts shrouded with cobwebs and covered with the dust of centuries. They made him think of beasts snarling and snapping at each other, teeth rending flesh and crunching bone. They made him feel as if 1,000 worms were riling beneath his skin. So anyway, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but Mr. Voorhees, turns out, has been paying for the upkeep of the grave of Mrs. Voorhees and Jason.
Wow.
And this scene ends with him staring at the camera, basically, and vowing to continue the killing in the next movie because Jason's truly dead. However, so little George, little 12-year-old George, telling all his friends, oh boy, the next one's going to be about Jason's dad. And he's even bigger and stronger. It's going to be cool. And then when 1988's Jason, what the hell was 1988's one called? The New Blood comes out. There's no dad anywhere. And all my friends call me a liar. And they told me I'd never get married. But I did. I showed them.
They said you were suffering from an illness known as C.H.U.D.
C.H.U.D.
Stands for can't hardly understand details. Coincidence.
What? Good segue.
No, we got to get back to Rome. I'm sorry.
Italy. All right. So tell us some. So Tim, tell us some of your experiences in Rome.
Oddly enough, that we talk about elevators on this show. You know, Europe is older, and they kind of shoehorned elevators where they could fit. And I didn't get on any elevators in Italy because they're the size of coffins. I don't know if you saw this. Train station. My wife wanted to get on the elevator. I'm like, nope, I'm going to carry this suitcase up in 100 degrees heat. I'm not getting in that coffin. And the Airbnb we stayed at, there was a tiny coffin. I found it later. I didn't know it was there in the corner. Not getting in it. Yeah,
they really are. The elevators in most of these places really are like
terrifying.
The size of one person. Like it's intense.
When your rehearsal dinner was in a place with the modern elevator, because I got in it with some of your family and your sister. And
did they goose you?
No, your sister. She was just farting up a storm. And she's
Which
like,
sister? Was it
Jen.
Was it vegan? Jen, okay.
If she wants to be mentioned, I don't know. She's like, yep, I did it. And I'm like, there's a dog right there in the corner. You could blame the dog.
Why was there a dog in the elevator?
And she's like, nope, I want to say I did it. And I did it. And I talked to the dog later, and the dog's like, no, I did it. I farted. I don't know what she was talking about.
Well, you know, my sister is a vegan, so she's perverse.
Yes. That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into many details of your wedding and party. It'll have to be a whole special episode.
We should do it because I want to like take a break from our 50 Nifty, like much the same way we did for Dinosaurus with the U.S. Virgin Islands. I want to do a Rome edition. I want to do a Rome movie, and then we could tell the true stories.
Okay.
Because there's stuff that happened at my wedding that I don't remember happening, and then people would send me videos. I'm like, fuck. Yes. I did some freestyle rapping.
You did.
Yeah, I really assaulted. I verbally assaulted Chris, who doesn't listen to the podcast. But it really was it was a very special episode of Seddy Bimco. You know, there was special guest stars, exotic location.
We ate too much. You ate a lot. You suffered from something called C.H.U.D, churning, hurting, underbelly damage. Coincidentally, I mean,
that's true.
So,
you know, you had already come back to the States, but on the honeymoon portion of the trip, Tim, there was one day where I was more full than I've ever been in my life, and it was the most unpleasant feeling.
Oh, it is. What'd you eat? Like 2 lobsters?
No. What did I eat that day? It was actually it was like a tuna tartare.
Ooh.
And some pasta.
Oh, wow.
And there was like prawns.
Prawns again. I sat next to George's lovely mother, and she got prawns. And George had to pull their eyeballs off. Your mother didn't want those eyeballs looking at her.
No. And that was the same meal where then they took my food away because I was so busy preparing my mom's food. And I was like, well, that was not a night I ate too much. No.
That's one thing you should know about Rome. If you leave your plate of food for a minute, they'll just take it away. They're insulted.
Which is weird because normally they're not too big. Like normally they just let you sit there forever. They wanted us out. They were like, there's entirely too many Americans at this.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it worked out. It
did work out. Yep.
It could have been fraught with many disasters.
And probably was that we just haven't discovered.
It was a small one, but we got to get to the movie. We'll talk more about it, maybe.
We'll talk more. A special episode coming up soon.
Rome.
Seddy Bimco. Write to you about your experiences in Rome. Seddy Bimco with an E at the end.
If you've ever been there.
gmail.com.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
3 people listened to it while we were there. So that's a mystery to me.
That's definitely members of the party. Because we were talking about it. We kept mentioning Seddy Bimco and all the other guests. Like, what is this nonsense word you're saying?
I handed out my business card to your whole family. And the cook.
And that's, coincidentally, it stands for, it's C.H.U.D for Can't Hear Your Dumb Podcast. Dumb podcast was one word, and your was spelled like the way Prince would spell it.
What a segue.
Can't Hear Your Dumb Podcast. What a segue.
C.H.U.D. Cannibalistic, humanoid, underground dwellers. C.H.U.D. They're not staying down there anymore.
Yeah, let's do it for real. All right.
We're talking about C.H.U.D.
Yeah, C.H.U.D. So this is a movie I know I've brought up before in the show. And this is actually, I would say in a way, it's not on my top 10, our great aborted top 10 list. But C.H.U.D is a movie I truly do love. In many ways.
And
it's 1984. It is the representative. Tim and I had agreed, we divvied up some big states.
You stole it.
Tim was supposed to get New York, but after the fiasco that was The Amazing Transparent Man, I wouldn't trust him with an A-letter state anymore.
Come on.
Because that's you shit Boston. We could have done Boston. Instead, we did that turd.
It happens.
So I'm like, I grabbed New York and I did C.H.U.D because C.H.U.D is full of 1980s New York goodness. It's so Soho-y and like financial district.
As you know.
And like it's all in location. It's amazing.
As you know, when
Tim,
we talk about movies, we talk about them in relation to Star Wars. And this is one movie after Return of the Jedi. The world is, mourning. No more Star Wars as far as they know.
Like might as well do C.H.U.D.
Yes, C.H.U.D comes out.
and as you all know, because you're just alive in the same society as us, everyone was healed.
Yes.
People never mentioned Star Wars again. There became C.H.U.D conventions.
Yep.
People dress up. You can't go down the street without seeing a C.H.U.D t-shirt.
Nope, C.H.U.D is popular.
Disney Plus is littered with thousands of C.H.U.D TV shows that I never even hear of before they're out.
Yep. They got in trouble with that religion called C.H.U.D, which is Christ hunts unworthy Danesmen.
Wow. Yeah, it was a problem because, having the discrimination of a certain group of people is really a problem right in there.
That's what Christ used to call them. They're now known as the Danish, but he called them Danesmen. And one
that's weird.
Eventually they're like, can't we be named after a sweet breakfast treat? And they said, how about croissant? And they're like, no. And
no, because that's Chuck.
And then they're like, how about Danish? And they're like, yes. That's the story. That's the story.
Yep. It's weird that Christ, who existed before English, would have said Danesman.
Yeah, so he didn't know English very well. Yeah, he couldn't speak English.
Okay, yeah.
So, John Hurd's in this. What are we going to talk about? You want any New York facts? Oh, New York facts.
Let's do New York facts. New York facts. Okay, I got some New York facts.
I do too. We both live in New York. There's a fact.
I was about to say New York is the home of Seddy Bimco. And Tim, I did think of this. Mm-hmm. This could be New York is the most populous city in the entire country.
Oh, yeah.
It is. Yeah. So that's a fact. We could, because I did steal New York from you. If you want to do New York City, is independent from New York State?
I'm sticking to it.
Okay. All right. Good.
I could do. All
right, so New York,
I could call it New Amsterdam because old New York was once New Amsterdam. Why they changed it, I can't say. People just liked it better that way.
Better that way. Yeah. Istanbul was done. Anyway.
Yep.
New York City was founded, speaking of, in 1624 as New Amsterdam. Mm-hmm. Had an existence of about 50 years as New Amsterdam under Dutch rule, at which point the British are like, no, we want to take this from you.
Damn it.
And then it becomes New York in 1674. Always confused me as a kid because I'm like, is there an old York? No, it's named after the Duke of York. What did that guy do? Who knows? He's an asshole.
Yep, we don't know.
New York was not consolidated, though, into its current system. New York has famously 5 boroughs. Mm-hmm. Was not consolidated until 1898. Prior to that, Brooklyn was its own city. I assume Queens was as well. Staten Island was still an underpopulated borough, not deserving to be part of the city. And the Bronx was also its own thing. But in 1898, it all became one as New York City.
Yep.
approximate population of 8.5 million people.
Right.
Yep. It was the first capital of the United States.
Oh, well, that's right. It was because Washington got inaugurated. There's a statue on the steps where it happened.
Yeah. It's a weird statue, though, because he's popping a squat.
Is he?
Everyone's like, what? Yeah. If you take a look.
Okay. I'll have to check that out. I didn't see that.
That's why they called Macon a Washington.
Macon a Washington. Yep. That's where my mom got that from, I guess.
Your mom was always saying that.
Yes.
Yeah. It is the home of Spider-Man, Daredevil, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, Power Man,
wow,
Iron Fist,
the Morlocks,
Cloak and Dagger. Who else, Tim? Jump in.
The Morlocks.
The Morlocks. Can't forget the Morlocks.
I think the Teen Titans were based in New York.
Yeah, they're based on a fake island in the harbor. But you know what? They're fake. We're talking Marvel here. As an aside, I was always really annoyed that like the Teen Titans supposed to exist in New York, but I was reading Batman comics at the same time, and it's very explicitly Gotham City is New York. They literally talk about the Palisades across the way. They talk about like Long Island up the side. Like Gotham City is New York. You don't get to pretend. You don't get to have your Gotham and your New York. I think it was
meant to be Chicago originally, wasn't it? That's where all the gangs were when the comics started.
I don't know, but by that I don't know. I'm saying
telling
like you know what.
I don't lie.
I believe you. I
don't lie because I suffer from C.H.U.D. Concrete, hardcore, undeniable details.
Use details already. Let's see what else. What other facts we got? Fourth most populous state.
I once did a book signing here, and when I came out after the signing was over, I got a text from
from who?
The president telling me that I was a clue on
Who
Jeopardy.
was the president back then?
Obama, I think.
It was Obama. Wow. And he said you were a clue in Jeopardy? Can you do an imitation of how he sounded?
No, I can't do him. No.
Tim, it's me. Barack Obama.
You could do it.
Want you to know you are a clue on Jeopardy.
Good.
Excuse me, I have a drone too. Pilot. Dark.
Dark. He didn't pilot them, but good.
I just want to tell everybody, just so you know, that was not an actual recording of our president, Barack Obama.
No.
That was me. That was me, George. Also,
not AI.
It was not Kevin Kablasto. New York is home to the Hudson River Valley, which is not named after explorer Henry Hudson, but is named after the character Hudson from the movie Aliens.
Or Hudson Hawk? Oh, from Aliens. Okay.
Yep. Hudson Hawk is named after the Hudson River, too. Okay. It's weird because that movie probably came up before Aliens. That joke sucked. Take it out.
Yeah, take it out.
I got no good jokes. Well,
we should get to the movie because it's half hour.
Well, two more facts.
Rambling.
First elevator in New York. 1857.
Wasn't it in the Puck building? No. Oh, no. The Flatiron.
No, it was at a building called the Hofwatt Building, which no longer exists. It was at the corner of Broadway and Broome. It was a 5-story apartment building. This movie, 1857, this building, that's pre-Civil War, just in case you're keeping track of that.
Yeah.
So way to go, New York. Look at all those other states that don't get theirs till much later.
Well.
And as the capper of all facts, Tim, not only is New York, the most famous place for giant apes to attack, its first streetcar is Tim. It's the first streetcar.
Yeah.
It's not
pulled by horses.
We're not just talking in New York. We're talking. This is the first streetcar anywhere.
It was called Streetcar Number 1.
It was in 1832.
Ooh.
November 14th. The first streetcar anywhere in the world starts in New York City. In the Bowery.
Not in Europe. That didn't happen first.
No, believe it or not.
Wow.
This is really cool. And get this. The fare was 12 cents.
That's a lot, I think.
In 1832, it is. And I found, we've previously had a problem with currency calculators where they only go back to 1914. I found one that actually goes back further.
Play
the theme song, please. George's Currency Curser. All right, it's playing. Yeah, this and that. Yeah. All right. What do you think 12 cents from 1832 has the buying power of now?
Well, I would say $3.50.
That's actually a pretty good guess, Tim. It's a little bit low. It's $4.38.
Oh, okay. Isn't that what the fare on the subway is now? I forget.
Yo, I'm like all cool New Yorkers. I just jumped the turnstile.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm a cool guy.
There you go.
All right.
He admitted it.
Got any more? I don't know. No.
Do I have more facts?
Yeah, any more New York facts? Any jokes?
Yeah, I think
New York,
you
it's a
got
hell
them
of
all.
a town.
I'm just going to move along. I was going to say you were so proud of that building having the elevator that early. But then I was going to say it probably burned down and killed like 10,000 children or something, back when there was no fire escapes, no way to put fires out.
That's the thing. Okay, that's actually a funny thing about New York. Writing the facts, I'm like, there's literally way too much to do any justice to this. Yeah. Like, no offense, like Nebraska or whatever, but like New York City's got a lot of shit happening. Like the Triangle Waste Shirt Factory, which Tim just kind of obliquely referenced.
Yeah.
Thank you, fire escapes. Thank you, doors opening outwards. Thank you, all stuff like this, because of a horrible tragedy that happened right here.
Yep.
Didn't happen in Nebraska.
Yep.
Really picking on Nebraska today.
Oh, another fact.
Yep.
Kevin Cablasto lives in Rochester, New York, and he shops at Needle Drop Records. There you go.
Oh, I thought it was...
Well, he goes there. He won't go to CD's Records and buy them. All right. Okay.
Do you think there's any places called CDs? I would go there.
CD, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd go there too.
Oh, what if the guy's name was like Carlo Domingo? And it could be CDs.
Okay. Yes.
You can say, hey, CDs from CD. How about that? CDs, like CDs nuts.
Right.
Tim, this is good stuff.
This is good stuff.
I love that we are a half hour
10 minutes to talk about this movie.
No, it's going to be a long episode, everybody.
No.
This is my new vow. You make vows and you get married. My new thing is when I talk about C.H.U.D, I talk long.
Oh, my God.
All right, so let's quickly. C.H.U.D, 1984, directed by a guy named Douglas Cheek. Douglas Cheek does not have a blue thing next to him on Wikipedia, so I got nothing more about him.
Well, it's independently made, I read, so...
It was independently made, with one part of the movie being written by the actor Christopher Curry, who plays the cop Bosch in this. It also stars a pre-Home Alone, both John Hurt, a.k.a. Kevin McAllister's dad, and Daniel Stern, a.k.a. the taller of the Wet Bandits.
Not John Hurt from Alien, but John Hurt.
Not John Hurt from Aliens, no.
Not John Hurt.
Not William Hurt from Altered States. No. Not... my arm hurts for me when I wake up in the morning after sleeping it wrong. What else we got, Tim?
I was just going to say not John Hurt, who played Caligula in the BBC production of I, Claudius. Just bring that up again.
Tim has been talking a lot about I, Claudius, guys.
Don't watch it. Read it first.
Read it.
It's a BBC production. It's like a play. They're in a set.
Yeah,
and then they go,
is there nudity?
Look, the barbarians are coming. And they never show it because they can't show it. Yes, there is nudity. I saw this as a kid. Spoilers, Caligula sleeps with his sister, and you get to see everything.
Who plays his sister?
I forget.
Who plays Caligula?
I just told you. John Hurt.
Oh, he plays Caligula. Yeah. Oh, so did you see John Hurt's butt? Did you see his butt?
I forget.
You see his little Caligula?
Patrick Stewart's in it. He gets beheaded.
Ooh, does he play Caligula?
Nope. I just told you.
Does he get naked?
No, he gets his head cut off. I forget who he is.
By whom?
I forget all the details, George. I haven't read it in 20 years. I'm going to read it again, though.
Who plays Zeus? Is it Sir Laurence Olivier?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
What else we got? Early appearance by John Goodman as a cop.
That's right.
He's in a scene with Jay Thomas, best known as playing Carla Tortelli's husband on Cheers. Second husband. The one who got killed by a Zamboni after he appeared in the Howard Stern show calling Rhea Perlman ugly.
I was going to tell that story. Did I text that to you?
No, I just remember that. That's like the only thing I remember about that guy.
Yep.
Was it Howard Stern? I might have made that part up.
Oh, he was a DJ, and he didn't give up his job.
Oh, he was a DJ himself. Okay.
And he blabbed.
What a dumb career suicide.
Right. You're on the top show on TV.
Yeah. You probably could have gotten a spinoff like the Tartellis did with previous mentioning on the show, Casey Kasem and Casey Kasem's wife.
Right. Husband. Wife. Sorry.
His wife played, yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting deep. Getting deep in this, everybody.
This movie.
Let's see. All right.
We should say how the movie starts.
All right. Okay. How's the movie start, Tim? You start.
It's a lady walking her little dog and gets pulled underground by the Morlocks. That's pretty much the start.
A manhole cover comes up and a weird claw grabs her and pulls her under, and the dog too.
Oh, yeah. Sad doggy stuff.
Yeah. Kind of iconic opening, though. Like, as a kid, I remember seeing this trailer. And like, as Tim mentioned, I was part of the great malaise. I'm like, Return of the Jedi is done. I don't see why life is worth living. And I was just like, looking for tall buildings to walk off of or something. That part's dark. Sorry.
It's dark.
But this commercial played. And it's just this woman walking down a street in Soho. And then this manhole cover pulls her up and goes, C.H.U.D.
I never saw the commercial. So.
Oh, man, I did.
Okay.
And I was excited. I'm like, I'm going to see that C.H.U.D.
That is a good commercial. Were you old enough to go to the theater?
Oh, hell no, not to see C.H.U.D.
Okay.
No, I had to wait. I had to wait to sneak C.H.U.D. in on cable years later. But I always remembered C.H.U.D. and I would see it in the movie. You'd see it in like back in the day, there's things called video stores,
Right,
kids.
right.
You go in there and there'd be like these really exciting covers on movies. And it's kind of a weird thing we share. Like there's a lot of movies you would see the covers for and never actually see, like previous episode of Seddy Bimco, Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Right.
I'd always see that cover and be like, I'm going to watch it when we went in. I never did. But C.H.U.D. I did see.
And it was a nice touch because the next morning her shoe was in the street and the street cleaner cleans it. And I was like, oh, nice.
The shoe
nice
was
touch.
like the shoe was like the main character in the first 5 minutes of this movie. We see multiple street cleaners go over. And this is why I wanted to do this, because this movie is filmed in New York.
Back in the dirty days.
And it's an independent New York, and it's like dirty New York transitioning out of the 70s. You know, it's like it didn't drop dead like Ford said, but it was just, it's clawing its way back. The beginning of yuppieism is starting, and New York's going to be, it's back, baby.
Yep.
But it's catching this really interesting time, and like you really see a shit ton of New York in this.
And I thought he was going to be our main character, and we'll talk about the problem of how many main characters there seem to be. But the first one is George, played by John Hurt. He's taking pictures. He is, but there's so many people to follow their stories in this movie.
There's 3 main characters as I see it. There's George,
4
there's
even.
the Reverend, there's Bosch. Who's the 4th? Oh, the lady.
Lauren, yeah.
Stacy.
George doesn't like to count ladies in movies, but she was here. She was an actor.
Well, let's just say George. We're talking George, the character in the movie, not me, George.
Yep.
He is a photographer. He's played by John Hurt. He sucks.
He's lazy Jimmy Stewart because he opens up just taking pictures of homeless people on the street from his window. I'm like, come on. You need to be in a wheelchair to be sitting in your apartment. You're a photographer.
Well, the backstory we eventually get from him is apparently he was a famous fashion photographer. And he gave it all up, and then he did a famous series of photos.
Man, you paid attention.
With an article I've seen this movie like 5 times, so you pick it up. About following certain homeless people.
Yeah, I kind of got that.
And so he became he got some awards for this. He's working on a sequel, but this part makes me just squirm
because he became what the guy calls him all the time. He's lazy.
He's fucking lazy.
He suffers, George, from C.H.U.Ds. It stood for career hungry, underperforming developers. Sorry,
developments. That's good, Tim. That's good. He does. Yeah, he basically his writer on this piece. They're doing a sequel, a follow up about specific people.
Him? I didn't know.
Yes. And they're going to press in 12 hours.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, I need the new photos.
He never answers. This is just him on the machine.
He doesn't answer phone. He's mocking him on his answering machine, which is a new technology then. Be like, blah, blah, blah. You're a jerk. I'm like, no, this, as a person, Tim, you and I are both professionals who work with deadlines.
Yep.
And we've both, I'm sure, had situations when we've been tight on deadlines.
Yeah.
You don't sit there and make fun of the person.
No.
This is career suicide for both these people.
Right.
And he's like, blah, blah, blah. And so the unlikable George, the character, he mocks him. He has no intention of going out and doing these photos, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know
We
why.
discover it's because he can't find the people, but that's really not revealed until almost a half hour in.
What a loser.
It's
he just
poorly,
sits there.
He just sits there mocking him, being a jerk, being glib about it.
But there's so many homeless people in New York, too. That's a weak plot.
But it's the specific wins. He's looking for that one lady. He's looking for a couple other people. And then we meet his girlfriend. I want to say her name is Stacy.
No, Lauren. I wrote it down.
Lauren. I want to say her name is
Lauren.
Lauren.
And what is she doing when we first meet her? She's putting makeup on her ass pimple.
Yep.
Why does she? Anyway, I was going to do
He's
a
like,
list.
why are you putting makeup on your butt? And she goes, because that's where the pimple is.
She has special hygiene products for that. They're called, coincidentally, the hygiene products are called C.H.U.D. I mean, buckle up, George.
Okay.
One product is called C.H.U.D. Stands for combing hairy underarm dandruff.
Okay.
Another one's called C.H.U.D. Covering humongous ugly dermatitis. And her other product, George, it's called C.H.U.D. Controlling humid underwear dew. So she has a lot of
yet none of
C.H.U.D.
those
products.
actually address the pimple on her butt.
She puts it all in her pimple.
Okay, she's just putting all the wrong stuff on. That's why she has pimples.
It's going to be a lot of C.H.U.D. this episode, George.
Yeah, I actually made a list about C.H.U.D. and I'm not going to even do it now because I'm like, well, because Tim, you're spraying this in. It's like we have a C.H.U.D. overflow. There's a C.H.U.D. overflow.
Well, this is when I saw something, George. I didn't believe you before. I saw an ad for the quiz with balls. I've now seen it.
Folks,
some sort of game
previous
show.
episode, I don't remember what we were watching, and there's a TV show on Fox called The Quiz with Balls. And I described this to Tim, and I could tell he thought I was just doing a bit. I'm like, no, Tim, it's real. And I would send him links to it, and he's like, I don't open links from Fox.
Yes.
So he still wouldn't believe me.
So there it is.
I feel vindicated.
Then I got another ad for another show just like it.
Oh, what was that called?
It's called C.H.U.D. Chasing Hapless Underperforming Dummies.
Oh, wow. Underperforming
too.
again. Oh.
So, police station, another main character, right? Are we going there?
Yep.
Captain Bosch.
Wait.
And he calls.
Oh, no, wait. No. Before we leave George and Lauren.
Oh.
Lauren is a model. She's going for a perfume ad. She got George a gig filming this because remember, he used to be a famous photographer. We don't know this at this point. Mm-hmm. And he's being the biggest dick imaginable. Because even though he has no money and he's not doing his one job he's supposed to be doing, she's like, let me just do this thing for me. It's a huge gig. It's going to break my career up and it'll make me a big supermodel.
Yeah.
I can't stress what an asshole this guy is.
You're talking about while he's there taking the pictures.
Well, later he's even worse. Oh, yeah. But at this point, just even like the fact that like, look, Tim, Miss Lee is like, Tim, I need you to come take photos of me for this thing that's going to blow my career open.
Right.
Even if you don't want to do it, you're going to be like, of course, because you're my wife.
Yeah.
And I love you. But this guy is like, whatever. You put makeup on your butt.
She's always asking me to come take pictures of her. I show up and she's covered in mud. And I'm like, what is going on?
What? This is
That's just her thing. Sorry, too much information.
Miss Lee, if you need help from Tim, just blink twice. I could see you.
Sometimes there's like two people in mud. And they're like, guess which one? And, I have to guess. They're covered in mud.
And you have to guess which one is Miss Lee?
Yeah. And if I guess wrong,
do you always guess correctly?
Sometimes, but sometimes if I'm wrong.
This is weird. This is really weird. This is the weirdest bit we've ever got into.
So
then we cut to the police office where we meet another one of our main characters.
Or the post office. I like that.
The police office. I said that weird, right? We meet Bosch, which I love his name Bosch, like the painter of nightmares from Middle Ages.
Ooh, I didn't get that.
Oh, that's the way I assumed. I was like, that's got to be a reference on purpose, right?
And he calls Chief O'Brien from Star Trek. Did you get that?
Nope.
The Chief is O'Brien. He's called Chief O'Brien. Maybe you don't watch Star Trek enough. There's a Chief O'Brien on Star Trek.
I do know. That's the one that's played by Cole Meany with his giant Irish head.
Yep. And that's his name on the show.
He's the one always seeing leprechauns. And he's like, everyone's after me, Lucky Charms.
Many episodes of Star Trek, he encounters leprechauns. It's very fun.
Doesn't he control the transporter in Next Generation?
He does.
So in the original show, it was a Scottish guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's an Irish guy?
Yep.
Is this like
it's a grudge match.
Yeah, it's weird.
Either Scottish or Irish. They control the transporters.
That's it. It's weird. So Bosch is fighting with his boss, who is played by, I think he's the guy from Northern Exposure, maybe.
Oh, yeah, he looks like him.
Yeah, I don't know if he has it. Anybody looking it up.
It's too long ago.
Well, because there's a bunch of disappearances happening, but they're mainly of homeless people. But he is very concerned about these missing homeless people. And he's being told by the power-ups, like, just ignore it, Bosch.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm ordering you to kill this investigation.
So we know something's
Bosch
up.
seems driven beyond.
Oh, yeah.
Because Bosch wouldn't just care about humans because he's just a cop. He's got an ulterior motive for caring about this. We don't know what that is yet. We find out later.
All right. Don't spoil. I hear you, George.
I'm not.
Don't spoil.
Do you hear me not spoiling it?
That's all you heard in 1984 for all the people that couldn't get into Return of the Jedi. Don't spoil it.
And like little Tim being like, I heard that. And
you know what happened to me in line? I waited in a big, long line.
And then you got a text.
From
George Lucas.
There were kids.
And he said,
out.
In the future, you're going to be a guest a question on Jeopardy.
Yeah.
I'm George Lucas.
He said,
and you're like, you should make a movie about Howard the Duck. He said, that's a great idea.
Is that your George Lucas impersonation?
I was actually George Lucas.
He said, Star Wars is deeper than you think. You think it's for kids, but you look at the first movie, Luke is wearing white. In the second movie, Luke is wearing gray. In that last movie, Luke is wearing black. That shit's deep.
You joked him. I never actually put that together.
See? That's how deep that is.
In the second movie, he's got a Muppet on his back, too.
Yes.
Think about that, huh? Also, my name is Lucas, and the main character's Luke. That's pretty funny, right?
Yes. I never put that together, George.
Oh, see, we're blowing each other's minds. Let's say other things that blow our minds.
I think I know everything. Well, what blew my mind was I was waiting in line. 2 other kids walked right by us and like, wasn't that awesome when Darth Vader took his mask off and he was all ugly? I was like,
oh, you knew he was going to be ugly, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know what he'd look like. Anyway.
That actually, this talk of Star Wars reminds me of one of my chuds.
What are your chuds? Oh, your chuds, yeah.
Yeah.
You should do them.
Chud. Chewbacca has urinary dysfunctions.
Okay.
He's just, the front of his suit is just matted with urine. It's disgusting.
Is that because Chud is like Star Wars? Is that why you did that list?
Yeah, Chud, as we discussed up front, Chud replaced the void, the cultural void that Star Wars.
Got it. You should do your list.
And it reigned supreme until Howard the Duck came out. And
I'll get your plot going. I see it right here. They bring a homeless lady in. She's trying to steal a cop's gun. That's how we tie this.
It's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, we're like,
and the homeless lady is the same homeless lady that our photographer George has been looking for.
Yep, friends with him.
And he's somehow, for some reason, he's at the cop station.
Oh, they call him. He's at the photo shoot. He's like, photo shoot.
Oh yeah, he acts the biggest dick. He's like, you're posing nude,
and she's under a blanket.
Perfume. Yeah, she's not. I just want to mention, folks, if you think this is one of those movies where there's naked stuff in it, even though we're describing like people putting makeup on their butts, there's a weird shower scene later. There's no nudity. There's nothing even approaching nudity in this movie.
And why?
But she's so covered, and he's being the biggest asshole. Like at this thing, like he's like talking to the people are there. These people who are going to make her career. Like the perfume probably smells like pig. Like. This is why he is not married to her in Home Alone, because he's the same character for sure. It's because she dumps him and he has to marry a young Catherine O'Hara.
He was
arguably a movie.
He was suffering from Chud that day. Crabby, hangry, utterly demented. That's
well, it's because the reason the ride over there was pretty out of control too. Yeah. Their driver was a real chud, which stands for a crazed, harried Uber driver.
Sorry, people. 2 hours later, we're going to get through this.
Yeah, the lady wants to steal the gun because her boyfriend wants protection from something. She's crazy. Yeah. You can always tell the homeless people in this movie because it looks like they took drawing charcoal and smeared it over their face. She was. I mean, actually, it was pretty good. I don't like these were pretty good actors and stuff.
They did on good underground sets. The sets were okay.
Well, I think they were real fucking. I don't think they were sets. I think they were real sewers.
Ooh, I feel bad. They're crawling around in them.
Yeah, man, they saw some shit. Bosch, after the woman is let free, Bosch goes and he looks into one of his old contacts, who's this kind of con man guy who now goes by the name, but now seems to have found the straight and narrow, named the Reverend.
Yeah. This is Daniel
Stern.
Very young.
Yep. Very young, very manic.
So he's like a reverend.
He's a reverend, and but he seems like a really good guy. Like he and Bosch have this prior history, but he's like, "Come on, Bosch, why aren't you helping these people, Bosch?"
Yes, his flock is disappearing.
His flock is disappearing, but he won't talk to Bosch because he don't trust the cops.
Nope.
But Bosch is like, "Look, I want to help you. I can't say why, but I got to help you." So eventually, he tells him, "Yeah, there's these people. They're the underground people.
Yep.
There's the homeless people in the streets. They're still around." But there's some people, the undergrounders, they're just disappearing.
Yep. And
he's like, and Bosch is like, what do you mean? So, I mean, I'm going to cut out a lot of shit here.
Well, they talked to a guy named Val. He comes up later. He's really kind of unhinged. The guy who has a knife.
He's the one who keeps trying to stab the cop. And doesn't he try to stab George later too?
Yeah.
Val just tries to stab.
I'm surprised Bosch didn't arrest him.
Yeah.
I'm surprised because he tried to stab a cop and he's just like, yeah. But he was practicing a new technique they had. It was called C.H.U.D.
C.H.U.D.
Creating helpful unarmed détente. So
détente. Wow. Wow. All right, it's good.
So they go down this. He follows her down the sewer. That's why there's too many characters. Like we lose George for a while and ride
George,
with Bosch.
Remember there's like a new reporter character who's hanging out at the cop station.
Yeah, Murphy.
And the reporter brings George in because there's a whole weird subplot where George and Lauren find out that Lauren's pregnant.
Yep.
And she's like, well, what's your reaction? He's like, well, what reaction do you want me to have? Because I'm a total creep with no person on my own. She's like, happy? He's like, well, then I'm happy.
Yes.
I want to slap John Hurt. He's such a creep in this movie. So it's this whole weird thing where she's pregnant, but then that just comes to nothing. Yeah, some other random reporter guy who hangs around the cop station all day looking for scoops recruits George because George shows up and bails out this lady, but that guy gets killed by a chud. Right. Spoilers. We will get into that.
Did Scoops get killed? He was looking for Scoops?
Yeah,
Scoops gets killed?
His name Scoops?
Yeah,
he was like, he got 2 scoops of raisins. He got fucking killed. Yeah. And
we visited the guy in the sewer that needed a gun. He's got a big bite taken out of him. I don't know where we are in this. That's why he wants a gun. Who
is visiting them in the sewer
George.
at this point? Let's just.
I'm like,
is it George?
He needs to go to a hospital.
The Reverend and Bosch.
No, I think George. The photographer, follows the woman with that tried to steal the gun.
She takes him into the basement, and he sees a weird bite.
And there's a guy,
and then immediately forgets about it because he goes back to
that
his
guy needs to go to a
thing.
hospital. He's got an open big bite. And there's a big strong man with a wrench that tries to kill George. And the lady's like, no, he nice.
No, don't kill him.
He kind.
He's nice.
Don't kill. Only shoot them in the knee. Anyway.
Yeah.
When do we find out? My notes say now we find out the secret about Bosch. But do you have more to say? I don't know.
Bosch, while talking with, because Bosch and Daniel Stern, the Reverend, Daniel Stern doesn't want to share any information with him. Bosch lets reveal the reason he is also very interested in this, beyond just humanitarian. Mm-hmm. We find caring, humanitarian, undergrounder denizens. He doesn't care about that. Turns out that woman in the beginning who got grabbed under by the dog, with her dog, was Mrs. Bosch. Mm-hmm. Do you remember what her last words were before she got dragged under?
No, Pickles. That was her dog.
No, she actually looked at her dog and said C.H.U.D, which stood for Christ. Hell of an ugly dog.
I thought the dog's name was C.H.U.D too, George. But I thought it stood for Chewy, Hungry, Unleashed Doggy. That's all.
Oh, wow, that could be, yeah.
Amazing.
So they go into, the Reverend and Bosch go into the sewers too. They don't encounter George like you think they might.
Oh, wait, I call this part 2. Bosch and Reverend join forces. There you go.
Oh, I love your new parts. Bosch, the Reverend shows Bosch that he has a radar detector that he discovered.
They find all this, the boot.
Radiation. Just left there.
It's a Geiger counter too. They find all this stuff.
Yeah, it's a Geiger counter thing.
He also found, he shows him he found an issue of Playboy, which in 1984
had Precious Waters?
84 had a centerfold of Susie Schott.
Susie Schott.
Her biggest turn on was the movie Splash. Her biggest turn off was Tom Hanks, oddly enough.
That's weird.
She hoped one day to become a mermaid, and she hoped to one day form a band with her crab friend Sebastian. And her favorite food was crab legs, and her favorite charity was tiny wheelchairs for crabs. Don't look it up. I tell the truth here. I'm telling the truth.
Why do aquatic animals need wheelchairs?
Well, crabs walk. Come on.
Give them little boats.
Where are we here? Oh yeah, they find all this stuff.
Wait. I got it.
You got a C.H.U.D?
Crustaceans, handicapped. Disaster. This is our worst episode. So the radiation detector, basically there's, as in the words of the Reverend, there's something hot down there. There's sources of radiation that are moving.
Yep.
And the Reverend, who is a bit of a conspiracy theorist, he's like, the city has been dumping shit down here for years, and this is what's happening. Mm-hmm. And, Bosch is kind of like, I don't know. But then Bosch is also like, but my wife is missing, and they did tell me to stop this investigation.
Yeah.
He brings in the Reverend into a weird meeting with his boss and some other people and the head of the EPA. Mm-hmm. And it devolves into this whole thing where basically
they say
they reveal the information they have, the radiation.
Pictures.
They get some weird photos. I think they found a body part.
No, I don't think so.
Didn't they?
Pictures. They had pictures.
They had some weird pictures of some shit. And in what is the most hilarious obfuscation I've ever seen, we learn what is the acronym C.H.U.D, what it is in the movie, but it's not the real one.
No, what was it? I forget.
What the guy from EPA admits, what he says, C.H.U.D stands for Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground
Oh, that's
Dwellers.
right. They see the piece of paper on the floor.
Yeah, because they found a piece of paper that said C.H.U.D. He's like, what is C.H.U.D? Like, so rather than admit what it actually is, he admits to the fact that, yeah, basically people have been mutated into cannibalistic monsters.
Well, did you see it first? He tried to pretend they were ad campaigns. Like one was just controlling humid underwear do.
Which you already used that one. Yeah.
I did not.
You fucking did.
Okay.
That was one of the things that you put on. That's the one of the things you put on her butt.
Okay. The other ad campaign was cooking hamburgers undone dreadfully. That was ad.
Oh, that's actually close to this one I had.
Yeah.
Because he said it was actually contaminated ham under $1.
Nice. Yes, that's better.
Yeah.
That's better.
Yeah. And then there was one that he did try to say it was part of the then being revamped Central Park Zoo. He said it stands for captive hippopotamus under distress.
Nice.
Yep.
And he also said it stood for ad campaign for adult diapers called Comfortably Happy Used Diapers.
What you said, that's weird. Because I also had creepy hands underwear dry.
Underwear do.
I thought it was actually it was an ad for like the then beginning to become what it is now neighborhood of Williamsburg, and they're trying to get people to move there.
They call it,
and they were looking for cliched hipsters, ukulele dudes.
Oh, nice.
Yep. All right,
good one.
I think man, sweating, I'm fucking sweating. So yes, cannibalistic human underground dwellers. So they're like, there's these monsters, but there was this one, we took care of it. And so Bosch kind of flips out a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he's like, my wife.
They run out of the room, right? But they...
Yep.
And then, I forget, they see something. What do they see? But he calls someone up and say, listen, got to take care of these guys. He calls somebody. He calls a tough guy to take care of Daniel Stern. I guess, like he's afraid to deal with the cop.
Yeah. Well, so the EPA guy, like I don't know. So a lot of shit happens.
He had a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, he goes home. They stole his photos. George's photos.
Well, he says George comes home from whatever he does, his photos have been stolen.
That's right. That's what they did to him. The EPA stole his photos, right?
Yep.
He's like, where are my pictures? And lots of tits and ass nose pictures. That's his file. He called his C.H.U.D file. It stood for choice horny underwear divots. That was he was really mad.
Underwear too much. How about unclothed?
Unclothed divots, okay.
Divots? Why divots?
Unclothed. I don't know.
Divots.
Unclothed, dirty bits. There you go.
Unclothed, dirty. Yeah, just dirty. He goes back into the sewer for some reason. He leaves his wife, Lauren. No, not his wife. His girlfriend, Lauren, alone.
The policeman goes ahead and hires flamethrower people. Right? Are we there?
Yeah. Bosch pulls a thing because the EPA guy wants to go in with cameras, and Bosch is like, "We're sending flamethrowers." So they send flamethrowers in there, and they start burning shit.
Because they're like, "No, you can't do that." I mean, how did he hire a bunch of guys with flamethrowers in New York? We don't have those people.
We have a pretty militarized police force. I bet they have worse than that.
Okay.
So they go down there, and there's a scene where we see that it's very much like Aliens, where they're like firing flamethrower, and something's on fire, and they're watching the camera live.
Yep, I wrote that, just like Aliens.
Yep. And then whatever it is kills the people.
Yep.
And Bosch is like, "Those people are dead at your hands," and he's yelling at the EPA guy. Yeah.
And Lauren,
George,
by the way,
George goes down the sewer again or something.
With Lauren, because Lauren notices something banging on the basement door, and she actually opens
of their building in Soho. She opens it.
And that's why I'm saying there's too many. Just she goes in the sewer, George goes in the sewer, Bosch goes in the sewer.
Well, she goes in the summer, and she finds the mutilated dog of Mosh.
That was sad.
And she says, "Christ, hanging undead dog."
Right. That's what I had.
But it actually was just dead. Yeah.
It was. Yeah, why undead?
And she calls the cops, and they're like, "All right, we'll come right over. We're dealing with a lot of other crises." Then at the same time,
they call Bosch.
A diner where, they do call Bosch because he gets a call. They found a body.
And she's all decomposed. They're like, "Oh my God, it's his wife." I'm like, "Really? You know it's his wife?"
Well, did the version you showed not show her face? Because they show her face very clear, her severed head.
I guess. Still,
he finds his wife's body, her severed head. And while this is also going on, there is this scene where the cop, played by John Goodman and played by Carla's ex-husband, are in a diner and they get killed by Chuds
after sexually harassing.
And there's
a waitress,
grandpa after sexually harassing a waitress, and there is a grandpa in a phone booth who's lost downtown calling for help.
Yeah.
And he's with his grandchild, and he gets killed by C.H.U.D, but the grandchild lives.
Yep.
And all these calls are coming in. Bosch finds his wife. He's gone a rampage now.
No, he goes to a bar and just drinks. And they're like, why don't you go home, Bosch?
He's like, what home? My wife is dead.
He was suffering from C.H.U.D, George.
What's that?
Can't hardly understand death. So that's because he was just sitting there in shock.
How about this? How about this one? Wait. Wait.
2 hours of acronyms, everybody. Before Lauren went down. Lauren went to the bathtub, and for some reason it's clogged, and she unclogs it, and blood sprays all over her.
Blood sprays
makes
on her.
No sense.
I assumed it was because the dog, but maybe it's because there was a C.H.U.D there. So she's covered with blood.
When this happens, the plumbers call this a C.H.U.D, clogged hemoglobin under drain.
Nice.
So, all right, we're all over the place. They harass a waitress, homeless, they die.
Oh, wait, because I have one, right?
Yep.
Bosch's wife, his name was Claire.
Yeah.
Claire Headless, drunk. That was him at the bar.
That's what happened. Yes.
Yep.
So everybody ends up in the sewer, I think is the easiest way to say this. And the police are going to block all the manholes, and they're just going to gas the place.
They're going to gas it because it's going to kill whatever's down there, and it's going to cover up any evidence. Because should we just reveal what C.H.U.D really stands for?
Where was that?
So C.H.U.D, again, this is what's so funny. The cover story the guy comes up with is to admit that there's cannibalistic human underground monsters. What it really stands for is Contamination Hazard Urban Disposal.
Right.
Turns out the EPA, or it's not the EPA, he works for another company, he's pretending to be the EPA, has been knowingly storing radioactive toxic waste in the sewers of New York City, and it's turning the homeless population into these lamp-eyed cannibal monsters.
I read there was a scene cut out where he was trying to figure out what contaminated hazard urban disposal meant, and he was like, he's coming up with cats harmful umpire death, and chlorine's harmful ugly dampness, and consuming Harold's undergraduate degree, and there's many of them. There were many of them.
Harold, remember there was that used to be that website, maybe it's still around, Cinematic Happenings Under Development. Yeah, that's one. Yeah. You ever listen to the Misfits? Their drummer was named Dr. C.H.U.D.
Really?
Yeah,
I'll believe you.
But that stood for, this is true, and it actually stood for Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Drummer.
Good one.
This is real. That's
okay.
I can't take credit. That's the Misfits.
I believe you. I'll call Chris. That never listens. He knows about music.
Chris who never listens.
Yeah, Chris who never listens. Yeah. He's suffering from C.H.U.D lately. That's why I brought him up. It's called Chris has underwear damage. No,
you use underwear too much.
Yes, every C.H.U.D. Yous are hard, George. I went to Google and typed in words that begin with U. Half of them were underwear.
I did the same fucking thing. I was like, the U's.
It's either underdeveloped underwear or uptown. Well, a C.H.U.D does get into Lauren's house. That's pretty cool. It gets into the building and comes after her. She
decapitates it.
She has a sword. I don't know why. They didn't foreshadow that. You need to check off that. You know,
I think they did because there's a mention in the very beginning where they've moved in together and George has got his photography stuff. She's like, you left my stuff in the basement. Her stuff is apparently swords.
She didn't say that though. They didn't check off it.
No, they didn't check off it good. Yeah, she pulls out a sword. She cuts off the
That's
C.H.U.D's
pretty
head.
Good. It bit her. So I thought she was going to get infected, but they never, do they in one of our sequels?
Well, no, the sequel, man.
I know, George. Your sequel's just going to be Morlocks and the X-Men. Come on.
It's not. No, I don't even know what it is yet, Tim. I couldn't even be bothered.
Well, she was bit. She was infected.
She was bit, and we do see that there is like one of the homeless people gets bit and doesn't turn to a full C.H.U.D, but becomes like a gray-faced zombie and gets shot by the Reverend.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't remember George. I don't know what George is doing. He's fucking around being a douche. Bosch Oh no, George and the Reverend are in the sewers.
Yeah, everybody gets in the sewer.
They're speaking to Bosch on the surface world.
Yep.
They've learned the secret that the guy is really working for this other company. He's not with the EPA. He's trying to cover this stuff up. Bosch is trying to tell them how to get out. They're being chased by all these chuds.
Yep. They seem to be praying at one point, don't they? Did you see that scene?
Yeah, they're all like clutched together.
I was like, that must be a plot
congregation
point
huddled underground dorks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a one manhole that Bosch is telling them to get to, but like the guy has parked a truck on top of it, so they can't get out, and the chuds are at their heels.
He's the main EPA kind of guy or government guy.
Yeah, but he's like not really the EPA, some other company. And we're doing such a bad job describing this.
Who is it? I think somebody's up above getting the keys to the truck to get it off.
Bosch.
Okay, to get it off the manhole.
And Bosch gets it off, but then he shoots Bosch.
I know, these guys like try to kill each other over this.
And they get out. Our two heroes get out.
Yep.
And then everything blows up.
Yes.
Because, no, it doesn't blow up. Because then the bad guy, he gets in the truck and tries to run them over.
I know.
And Daniel Stern shoots him like Indiana Jones style. Right. Like he said, shot right through the windshield.
Yeah, because the guy in the truck is wielding a sword. He's going to fight him. Is that what you mean? And then Daniel Stern had dysentery.
Yes. He says, Cairo hijinks, dysentery. Yes. That was Chud.
The guy in the truck said, "I love you."
And he says, "I know."
And he shoots him.
Yep. And then the truck goes into the manhole cover, blows up, and the entire underground system in New York is apparently set into flames because it's filled with gas.
Yes. And
it's uncertain. Do you think Bosch lives?
Well, all the kids working at the shirt factory, that fire was terrible that they caused that.
The Triangle Waste Shirt Factory, which was this
is a different one.
They'll burn. Oh, this was the Rectangle Shirt Waste Factory.
All right.
They're like, I thought the extra ankle would help us, as they all burn and plummet to their death.
I don't even remember the explosion. Was it a good effect? I can't.
Yeah, remember. It was the truck. The truck drives into the manhole cover, and one tire goes in, and it blows up pretty good.
Did you ever see the show about the making of Raiders of the Lost Ark?
Chud?
Where in the actual movie, if you look, you see the big telephone pole. They shoot out of the truck to make it fall.
Yeah,
over.
They had a cannon that shot it to flip it over.
Yeah. Cool, huh, George? Yeah. That was cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. That was cool. I would go.
Was that called a Chud? Cannonball hurling.
Yeah, it's cannonball. It's cannon hidden under the truck.
Yeah,
Chud. Yeah.
So that was the end. Who lived? Everybody.
Well, we're not sure. I really couldn't tell. If Bosch is alive.
They just start playing music,
and he says something like, "Looking good, Reverend," but then like he's maybe dead.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
And George is alive, and the Reverend's alive, and
the music plays.
Presumably Lauren's alive, but she's maybe gonna become a Chud.
It's very weird.
Yeah,
they ran out of money, obviously.
Yeah, let's just assume this entire movie was filmed without permits.
They got chased away right after this. Yeah. They blew everything up. They didn't think it through.
Wait, we had to film our last scene. Like, you just blew up a fucking truck in a manhole in Lower Manhattan. Get out of here.
Did you think it was the meat district? It looked like it. Couldn't tell.
I thought it was Soho, but it could have been. It probably was the meatpacking district because that would have been like just empty back then.
Did you see the albums you could buy? There was one called C.H.U.D. It was creatures hating ukulele demonstrations.
Oh, I mean, they should.
They had another album called C.H.U.D. Cymbals hollering units distinctly.
It's weird that cymbals, the actual percussive instrument, could actually holler.
There was another one called C.H.U.D. creating hellacious unbidden discords. Well, they sound like good albums, George.
I have one last one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a question, actually.
Uh-oh.
C.H.U.D. Can Hamilton understand dogs?
Yes, I can.
You can. Okay, all right. That settles it. Let's move on to revenge.
Wherever you are, wherever you're hiding, I'll find you.
Revenge. One of us will die. All right. What was the one we're supposed to improv?
So we're asking, who's most likely to bring up Sasquatch during a tour of Canada? Who would go to Canada? I think.
Oh, the Reverend.
Well, why? Because
he's a conspiracy theorist. First off,
and he thinks
there's
more homeless people in Canada.
No, I think he's like there's one homeless person in particular I'm worried about. I saw a film of him in 1968, walking away, embarrassed maybe about his state of being. He shouldn't be. He's a proud being.
He was heading straight for Canada. Is that what you're saying? He could tell?
Headed straight for Canada, yeah.
How do you know
up in Northern
from that film?
California. Because he the thing that we don't really know about the Reverend is he knows every tree in the world.
Okay. Oh, and moss grows on the northern side of a tree.
Oh, that's true. And he didn't see any moss, so he's like, it's got to be walking north as it walks away.
Got it.
So he went there, and he kept mentioning Sasquatch, and they're like, sir, this is a Wendy's. And he understood that he wasn't actually in Canada after all. He was actually just in a fast food restaurant in Midtown.
Oh, and it was Canada Day. And
it was Canada Day.
themed
and he was like,
hamburgers.
Yep, which were made with real ham, Canadian bacon.
They were serving poutine.
Wait.
Is it
say
poutine?
that word again?
What's that thing?
No, it's poutine.
Poutine. Sorry, Canada.
Poutine. Oh, then we just lost all our Canadian listeners.
I want to move there soon, so.
Yeah, stop saying bad things about Canada.
So was that it? He brought up. Did we fill our requirements?
Yeah, I think so.
That's a tour of Canada. So he didn't really get there though.
No.
They were insulted. They just knocked him out, put him on a bus, sent him to Canada.
Yep.
And he went there, and he's like,
yeah,
where's Sasquatch?
He was on that bus. Remember a few years ago, it was a Greyhound. A guy went crazy and then like killed and ate his neighbor's face on the Greyhound.
Dark George.
That was in Canada. That's what happened to Daniel Stern.
I think they beat him up again and put him on another bus, and then he woke up in the Soviet Union.
Wow, that's quite a bus. Well, yeah. Good through Canada. Yeah. Did he stop by Sarah Palin's house on the way? And she's like, no. I could see the Soviet Union from here.
Said, I can see Reverend AJ from here. That was his name, AJ.
Reverend AJ. Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Huh.
You want me to do my story first? My story is very simple. The producers of this film were angry at the screenwriter, Mr. Parnell Hall, that was his name, right? For creating a story that meandered so much, and because I would like to say, this movie could have been a lot better if it was more focused. It was a bit long.
And that's the thing. I will say, the reason I like this movie is it's actually pretty good. It's just scattered.
Yeah, it's scattered. So,
like, it's good special effects. There's really good moments.
Yeah.
But it's like, you need like 5 less characters.
Right. So they were angry that he created a story that meandered so much. And the photographer never shot any nude ladies. We never saw that. They wanted a sequel.
That's true.
But they wanted revenge on this screenwriter, and they wanted to make him suffer and quit. But it's his contract that he could write the sequel. So they wanted to make things so hard on him and get revenge on him that he would just quit. So they said, we want the word "chud" in the sequel to stand for something new. And they sent him home to work on it.
My God, it's just going to be on the fucking list.
Help he quit.
And at the top, it was can't hardly understand dialogue.
He came back Tuesday with ideas such as creatures hammering umbilical dangles, creating humongous upright Draculas, Captain Helion's ultimate deal, comedian Howie Mandel undermines Dennis Miller.
Wow, Howie Mandel and Dennis Miller is one word.
Yeah, they are. The other one was Charlie's Humongous Uptown Demons. And he thought maybe, how about creating hamburgers undercooked dreadfully? Oh, I did that one.
Yep.
Calling Hercules utterly delinquent.
That's a brave. Was this the same Hercules and Hercules in New York?
The producers were like, nope. Come back next Wednesday. We'll hear your new ideas. So he came back. He had things like Crazy Harry's umbrella diplomacy, cannibal horses undercut diversity.
It's weird. Cannibal's pretty close to cannibalistic human underground dwellers.
Cows have udders down under.
That's true. They do.
Chlorine's harmful, ugly dirt.
Oh my God.
He also said Krabby High.
I can't believe I let you go first.
Krabby Highway, Uptown Dicks. He said, how about consuming Harold's undergraduate degree? Oh, I did that one.
You already used that one too.
How about civilization had unseen dogs? So a week went by. He went home. George, no, there's more to the story. He came back. He said, how about
I'm gonna
coloring
walk away.
hams until D-Day?
Text me on the phone when you're done, okay?
Catching head unit Donnie. Kathy hides under
Donnie.
dirt. Call him Universal Demon. How about California heats up disco? So at this point, George, This goes on
At
forever.
this point, I decided I'm never going to let us do a movie with an acronym again. How did we not do this during a road tour?
I cloned myself, and you can hear me in the background. I'm still the story's still going on, naming acronyms quietly in the corner.
There's thousands of Tims typing randomly in the corner.
But you go ahead with your story, because my story just doesn't end. He just won't quit. They won't quit, and that's why the sequel wasn't very good. They went on for years. Just turn it down more. You can hear me too much. Go ahead.
All right, so let's change the music so people know this is a new one, a new acronym-free one, because I didn't do as many. Like, I should have known this was gonna be like this is like your kryptonite. Like, this is just like it's like a fatal weakness. So mine actually builds right off after the movie ends. There was a sequel, C.H.U.D 2, Bud the C.H.U.D. We're not going to regard that movie.
Did you see it?
This movie, yeah, it's garbage. Okay. It has nothing to do with this at all. It's sequel in name only. I wanted to, even though there was too many characters, I wanted to pick up following these characters. So this, right where this movie ends, we have George and the Reverend huddled around the form of Bosch.
Right.
Would the movie have been better if George wasn't in it at all? It was just about the Reverend and Bosch?
I think so.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But unfortunately, out of those three main characters assembled there, Bosch is the one who dies.
Okay.
He's been shot in the chest.
Yeah, I thought he'd be dead.
He passes away. The Reverend's like holding him in his arms as the last, bit of his soul shuffles off the mortal coil.
He becomes ghost
and
cop.
He's looking there. They become close.
Okay.
You can't, even though he hated cops initially, you can't go through the sort of experience of fighting a bunch of cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers and not feel something. Plus, he saved their lives.
Yeah.
And Reverend's holding the rapidly cooling form of him, and he stares with bitterness just around him, and his eyes fall upon George. He's like, "Why the fuck were you in this movie?"
Right.
He doesn't say that, of course. He's not aware he's a character, but he feels in a weird, deep level of resentment against George's character. George's life actually, pretty much goes as you'd expect. Unfortunately, his girlfriend does become a C.H.U.D.
Oh no.
He beats her to death in the shower and just kind of buries her in the hole in the basement.
That's ugly. Dark.
It is ugly. It's ugly. George is a very bad guy. But it's okay because he's now the recipient of all her wealth, right?
Was she wealthy?
That photo shoot takes off really big. Her estate becomes, he took the last ever known photos of her and stuff.
The perfume ad.
He's able to sell this movie. The perfume ad that was her naked,
her
right?
naked on her butt. Yeah, I don't know.
Yep, it was. And he takes it. He also, there was mention of like how she had her father's house they were going to sell at one point.
That's right.
So he takes her father's house because now he's the recipient to that, and he takes the house that they had together in Soho, and he takes the receipts from all her modeling gigs. He sells all that, and he relocates to Chicago.
Okay.
Buys himself a big mansion. He meets Maureen O'Hara. There's a bunch of dirty little kids.
Oh.
And he's planning a big fancy trip to overseas, to Paris. Meanwhile, the Reverend's fallen on some pretty hard times. Yeah, he no longer sees like the good in humanity. He just sees he's haunted by memories of that sewer, all wet and dripping.
Right.
And he's like, I want to steal from the rich people. And I want to bring a little of this sewer to them.
Robin Hood.
Like Robin Hood.
Bringing it all around, George.
Yeah, and it's just like that. And he goes to a casino. He meets Joe Pesci. They become best friends.
Okay. And
they decide to form up and become bandits.
Oh, nice.
And they're looking at places to hit. And Joe Pesci's really good at being a cop and stuff. Also, he
Jesus
dresses up as a cop. Yeah, he stole that from Bosch. And they go and they find out that fucking guy George, he's living in Chicago, right? And so they go and they scope out the house. He would recognize the Reverend, so of course the Reverend doesn't go. The Reverend says Joe Pesci in Bosch's old cop uniform, and they realize he's going out of town. Like, while he's gone, we're going to steal all his stuff. Wouldn't you know it? Because George is just a bad person. He forgot one of his kids there.
Yep. That's amazing. How can you do that?
Yeah. He just forgot him, and they went to Paris. And this is where it differs from what we've maybe seen in a similar movie.
Right.
George gets there. He doesn't give a shit. He's like, I got a bunch of kids. He stays. He's like, you know what, Paris? This place is awesome. I want to stay here and eat baguettes.
And croissants.
And cheese. And
no Danishes, just Danish men.
No, fucking, we're not going to Denmark. Something's rotten there. And then the Reverend breaks into the house with Joe Pesci, and we discover the awful truth.
Uh-oh. He kept a chud.
Kevin, his son, was a chud.
He kept that one alive.
He kept the one alive. Yep.
I knew it.
This whole time, this kid, we thought, this cute little kid, it was all just clips from a movie. Like, you know the way Kevin plays he's just playing clips from Home Alone. They think it's a kid. No, it's just really a chud in there. The chud rips them to pieces.
Ooh, but over time, right? Comically. Like,
no,
he eats off Joe Pesci's... He eats his foot off, and he's walking around half the movie like, "Ow, my foot! Don't hit my foot; it's missing."
Yep, and he heats up a doorknob, and he gets a horrible 3rd-degree burn on it. He's like, "Oh!" And he gets hit in the head with this like a bucket of screws, and it splits his skull open.
More chud-like things.
More chud-like. But here's the thing: all those pieces that get severed grow into new chuds, and eventually the chud apocalypse spreads over the entire world. And it's just it gets back to New York, and it's about to overwhelm New York. But know what happens?
What?
There's another force in the sewers ready to fight the chuds.
Morlocks.
The Morlocks. They have one of their members, if you remember. Nope, this keeps going on. And one of the Morlocks was the character named Healer. Remember, he was an old man, and
don't remember.
Yep, and he heals everybody, and everything is happy.
That's good.
And eventually, Maureen O'Hara realizes that George is a jerk, and she marries Charlie Rose, but they go broke eventually, and they move to a place called Schitt's Creek.
Good one, George. The end.
Yep, this is good.
I like to think of...
Wow, Tim.
This is over.
You know what I'm excited for,
next
Tim?
week, right?
I'm excited for people being like, oh boy, Chud, that cult classic, that beloved movie. They listen to this, they're like, what is this unarticulated, like this mess of a discussion? These two, what is this guy on? Like, what's happening here?
You should have known. As soon as we get Chuds, before I watched this movie, I was like, Chud, what does that stand for? Let me write like 100 of these. I hadn't even watched the movie yet. So,
I would believe it.
George, next week, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
You stole New York. So
that's right,
I stole Oregon. You can look it up. Check it once, check it twice. This was filmed in Oregon. Or
Oregon, as they might say.
Oregon, yeah.
Oh yeah, just keep saying it wrong. That's
punish
people. If there's one thing I know about people in Oregon, they definitely don't get upset when people mispronounce the name of their state. So what's the movie, Tim?
George, do you like the early 80s? You like TV movies? You like Mr. Swayze? Oh, in an early movie? You like? I forget who else is in this movie. Who's someone else?
Patrick Swayze.
So George, this is a 1982 movie about. It's called Pigs versus the Freaks. And before you get excited, the freaks are hippies because it's 1982. It's the height of hippie mania. And it's a TV movie about the pigs having a football game against them hippie freaks. This has got to be hilarious. What? And it was filmed in Oregon. You check it twice. Check all you want. I am going to
check this. Pigs versus freaks.
Did you see it in IMDb?
No, it's known as both Offsides or Pigs versus Freaks.
Okay. So, TV movie, George, is going to be bad.
Oh, man. You want to hear how bad this is going to be?
Yeah, I read. Tell me.
All right. Offsides, originally entitled Pigs vs. Freaks, is a 1984 American made-for-television sports comedy film. Based on a short film by Jack Epps Jr., the feature-length film was scheduled for release in 1980, but was not actually released until 1984. It was broadcast on television, not released as a theatrical feature. You know that's going to be bad.
It's the height of hippie mania.
Ooh, Tony Randall's in it.
That's right. Tony Randall's also in it. And a guy who did a lot of commercials. I forget his name. You'll see him. He was like the...
Stephen Furst is in it.
I don't know who that is.
He was Flounder in Animal House.
Yes. This is going to be great, George.
Yeah.
We got to go.
And Adam Baldwin.
Oh,
Adam
that's
Baldwin.
right. He's in it.
Yeah.
You guys
this is real shit.
You guys like Firefly? Well, here's Adam Baldwin.
you guys like Animal House? Here's Flounder. You guys like? All right, this is gonna be terrible.
Like us, love us. Tell your mother.
Do we have any mail?
Tell your mother to spread the word.
Do you see who did the music, Tim?
Uh-oh. Did I?
Mark Snow.
Oh, who did the X-Files, right? Yep. He does a lot of these TV movies. Mark Snow.
Apparently.
We got no letters, but like us and love us, and all the socials. We're everywhere. Check the blog. I drew a picture of me reading all the acronyms, I guess. I don't know.
Nice.
I don't know what it is.
Maybe.
Word of mouth is best. Tell your mother about the show so that
write us a goddamn review. Write us some letters.
She will complain about it.
This is what happens because we don't get enough interaction from you people.
Well, we got too much to say. I don't want any letters. I want to talk.
We need less to say.
talk.
We need less to say.
Don't want to read your letters.
All right, Oregon.
Only send us
C.H.U.D.
anagrams. I mean, wait, is that right? What? Anagrams. All right.
Anagrams. Acronyms, are you trying to say?
Only send us.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Only send us acronyms.
Jesus Christ.
MASH. What did that stand for? I don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. All right, let's say goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
This has been a Pity Party Line production.
Party line, it's a party line.
Combining hairy underarm dandruff? No. Not. No. Candy horses understand diversity? No. Communication Uhura understood dialects? No. Can't Huck understand dignity? Cannons help unearth dead? No. Crashing heavy, unwieldy decorations? Creating healthy uniform deodorant? No. Catheter handling unclean doctors? Coupling heralds unique design? Catching head unit Donnie? Oh. Call him universal demon? I did that one. Cats hunting undercooked ducks? Colonoscopy halfway underdone? Caught hitting underage delinquent? Oh. Complex, hard, unwielding densities? Capturing harmful, underdeveloped devils? Captain Harry Ukulele Discord? No. Connecticut Highway Underpass Darling? Consuming Harold's undergraduate degree? Oh, I did that one. Crashing heavy, unwieldy decorations?